Hello, everyone, and welcome to Got Dreams, the show where we help you get unstuck and share your gifts with the world. Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend, the dude behind Got Dreams, Ted McGrath. He has created 5 household brands, made millions teaching coaches, speakers, and service-based owners how to turn their life story into a message to millions. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Ted McGrath.
Hey, man, what's shaking, dude?
I am excited. We've got a lot to share with folks today. We've got a lot of newcomers here who have never been here before. Welcome, Inception, Closer, first time here, PA Productions, first time. We got Priya. So welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today's show is going to be about packaging your message. Ted, can you give us a little bit of background on why, A, that's important, and B, how that might help people kind of get unstuck and start moving forward in their business?
Yeah, so, obviously messages are critical in everything that you're doing. It doesn't matter where you're at in your business. Some people are starting offline to grow a business, and you have to be able to communicate a message effectively. When you go online, you need to have confidence that you've tested it to some degree offline, whether it be through one-on-one meetings with clients, whether you do seminars. You have to put it to test in the real world before you actually start doing some marketing online, in my opinion, because you have to have some confidence in what you're communicating in the world. So message is so critical. Use it in every aspect of what you're doing. Our advertising has messages. When you get on a stage talk, the first thing you say is the message of what you're going to tell people about. When you do a webinar, you got to hook them with the headline. You got to get them to opt in with the headline. Everything has to do with the messaging that you're delivering. And, in entertainment and art, I do a play on my life story, and there's a message to the show. So I have to be in tune with what is the central message we're sending to the audience. So the message is what communicates. And without it, it's a sea of confusion. And it takes some time with testing and things to get it mastered online. But obviously, we've gotten to that point with many of our funnels.
Right. So we've got a lot of folks here who are maybe just getting started. Maybe they just got into Message to Millions and, they're really starting to put this together. What kind of advice would you give to folks who are feeling a little overwhelmed at this moment?
If you're doing a business, a lot of our customers are trying to take their life story and their knowledge and their life experience and package it up and sell it. And you'd be shocked at how many different industries are doing this today, and how much hotter and hotter and hotter it's getting, and how much more mainstream it's getting, and how much more people want to learn from other people. And I think, the old models are, information was hoarded. The internet obviously came in and leveled the playing field. But now you have people realizing, wow, I can learn from other people's life experience, which is really the best way to learn rather than from some textbook that might be theory, right? So right. All kinds of industries, we're doing Got Dreams. We started for artists, and so many of the artists on the platform. I was just on the phone yesterday with a guy who's got a big studio of musical theater, Broadway guy, friend of James, who's, with Got Dreams of Us, who's a big Broadway guy also. And, this guy wants to share his life lessons, and he wants to bring it out online, and he has no idea how to do it. And, the common thing is like, okay, so what have you tried to do? Well, we tried to run some ads, didn't work, right? We don't even know the technology we need to get online. What would the first action be and step that we take to get online? Like, people are just confused of where to start. And here's the other epiphany that I was having as I was listening to him and then talking to some other people the other day, which is like, you get marketed so much stuff, right? And so you're picking up stuff in your inbox. It has no sequence. It's like this from this person, this from that person, this from that person. You have so many misunderstood words, right? Like, what does this thing mean? What does that thing mean? So there's a sea of confusion that's piled on top of people. And to actually clear out the confusion, you got to take a step back. And I think the first step initially is like the clarity of what do I actually want to create. If you want to go lower level than that, you have to work with the end in mind and go, what's the program or service that I'm going to be selling online before you even think about a marketing strategy? And this industry is kind of weird in a not like bad way. It's just because, so many people are going online today. And the interesting thing is that a lot of times before people have a product or a program, they're trying to learn how to figure out a marketing strategy. And it's like, if you went to an investor and you said, hey, I want some money for my company, like Got Dreams, we already have people interested in investing in our company. And if we went to them and said, invest in our company, and they go, what's the product or program? We go, we don't know, but we have a marketing strategy.
And I'm really excited.
Yeah, we're excited. Which is true. We do have a marketing strategy. We bring this from Ted McGrath brands. We've made millions and millions, tens of millions, and 20s of millions, 30s of millions of dollars online. And so we go to them and we go like, well, we have a proven marketing strategy. So that's an appeal. But then the question becomes, okay, so what's the program and the product? Now we know what that is. But a lot of times in this space in general, people are going online and going, I need to learn webinars. I'm going to do this. I go, what's your program? And they're like, I don't know. I'm going to do some of this. I'm going to do that. I'm going, great. What's your price point on your program? And they tell me their price point. I'm like, it's very unlikely you're going to succeed online with that price point. So the market's changed today. We know traffic's gotten more expensive, but we don't care. Michael and I work together. We're just going to outcreate whatever the expenses are, right? But, you look at those factors in the world and you go, okay, well, how do I be intelligent about this? And you go, what is the program I'm going to sell? And then that backs up to your first question, Michael, is how do I create the program? Well, I got to think of my message. And you either go, I help people do this so they can have that and formulate a really simple message. Like you look at ours. I help people find their life story and message so they can package it into a product, program, or service and impact millions with that message, program, and service and make millions, right? So that's the message. And you look in that and you go, well, in a message, if the message is clear, there's a program embedded in the message. So step one of our program is find your life story. Step 2 is find your message. Step 3 is create a program. It's all in the first line of the message. Then, so you can do what? Get it to millions. Well, that's marketing, right? Impacting people. That's through marketing. So in our message, it's very clear, like the steps of what we're actually going to sell to somebody's in the message, or you reverse engineer and you go, here's the things I'm going to teach. And then you create the message out of the things that you're going to teach. And it might be a little bit easier, but that's the way I think of it.
That's such an important point. And I think a lot of people don't recognize that, especially when they're online and they're maybe the consumer and they're learning about a product. They don't realize that the entire pathway towards that sale of that product is built upon the message. And so if you have an idea, a product, a service, something that you're looking to sell, when we create a webinar or we create a live stream or we create something, we're building into the storytelling of that message what's leading to that product. So for example, I work with, Ted and I do a lot of work together on his business, but I also work with a lot of photographers who are selling their photography training. And it's so important for photographers to get mentorship. And so we're building in the concept of mentorship to the entire message because they know what I'm going to sell. I'm going to teach you how to take great pictures like I do. And you're going to need mentorship. And so we build our entire message around that idea of mentorship.
Makes sense.
All right, so this is an interactive deal, guys. So if you're sitting here and you're having a good time and you want to actually learn something about your business, you can hit it. You can bounce those off us right now. All you got to do is type in your question. Maybe you're struggling with message. Maybe you're just stuck. Maybe you're trying to get started and you have something specific you want to know about putting that together. Ask us here in the comments, and we're gonna engage with you live, and we're gonna be doing this every single week so that you guys have something to someone and something to bounce off of. So Ted, while we wait on folks to kind of put in their questions, I'm curious. A lot of folks say when we ask them what's the first thing that they need to do or what they're trying to do, and they say, I need to get my first client. I need to get my first 5 clients. What do you recommend in relationship to packaging your message and going out there and getting those first few clients?
I think today, communication, normal communication is a little bit of a lost art. And I think it's one of the fastest ways to actually build something. Relationships still are extremely important and the most important thing. So today with the allure of the internet and people see that and they go, I got to get on the internet. I got to get everything on the internet. Well, really, I mean, the fastest way to start making money today is to communicate to your relationships and actually tell them what you're doing so people are aware of it. I think the main thing to remember is that people actually want to help, And so if you have relationships that you built up for 20 years, it doesn't even matter if they're in your industry or they can help you in that business. The point of flowing out a message, right? It's just kind of like, to me, I see it happen all the time through my life. I flow out a lot, and I find a way to pull in other things that are directly or indirectly related to that thing that I'm doing. So if you have relationships that are directly or indirectly related to what you're doing, you call them all, because even in the indirect ones will start to pull in people that are relevant to your business. And you got to tell them all and you got to communicate to them all, but you also got to do it on a gradient to where if you have no experience, the worst thing you can do is go, I'm going to call and go book a free consultation with somebody and try and sell them on something when you don't have experience doing that. So you look at like, what does every person on the planet have experience doing? Every person on the planet has experience of picking up a phone and calling. Almost every person, right? So you pick up a phone and call people all the time. So what would a first action be? You would actually pick up the phone and go, hey, Joe, it's Ted. We speak every couple of weeks. What's going on, man? And just talk. Hey, yeah. What's new? What's new in the business? Still having the same stuff going on at work. Yeah, that's cool, man. He's going to go, Ted, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I'm actually excited, man. Yeah, what about? Like, I'm starting this new business. It's like my new project, my passion thing. Yeah, I remember you telling me that a while ago, Ted. Yeah, like I'm super excited, man. I'm working with a coach on this now. I'm like really serious about it. And you're my friend and I wanted to tell you, but I'm really jazzed about it. And, basically I'm helping people do this so they can have that.
This so they can have that. That's such an important little piece of that puzzle.
Yeah. I'm helping people. And what happens is, like, you now have taken your first step, which is how to make a phone call, but you haven't communicated your message before. So your first step into confidence is to take that small step extended from something that's already natural. What's already natural is, hey, what's going on, blah, 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 blah. And then you tell somebody you're excited and passionate. It's normal to tell people stuff like that. And then you tell them your first step towards skill set training is I'm helping people do this so they can do that. And it's an easy step that anybody can take with zero confidence or some confidence or big confidence. And what's happening with most people is they're trying to skip and they're trying to go straight to, hey, let me book this with you.
Right.
And then you turn off your friends and your family because it's not natural, right?
It's a huge mistake.
It's like meeting it's like you're calling a friend and then all of a sudden you switch and you're Jekyll and then you're Hyde. They're like, what's going on, man? I don't know you as this. So how do you get a friend to see you as that? You keep doing it consistently. And this is messaging. You send the same message over and over again with a little bit more added to it. You were just talking about this in a webinar or a live stream, Michael. You're seeding mentorship throughout, but that's messaging, right? You're telling them throughout the thing you want to tell them, right? Advertising is the same thing. People start to have a realization after seeing it 7, 8, 9, 10 times. I mean, I literally walk around here and strangers come up to me, stop me. No, they know who I am because they've seen my ads, right? And that's frequency over the years, over and over and over again. And that's messaging. And so in any presentation you do consistently over, because in the first beginning of a presentation, say a webinar, somebody's like, oh, what's going on here? So you tell them the headline, right? Then you warm them up with the story and they're getting a little bit more used to it. So it's the same thing with a phone call. You first tell them the headline, here's my message. Then maybe the next phone call, you call them back and you try out your story. And you know some of these things about me, Joe, blah, blah, you tell them about your story or whatever. And I've started to create this program on my life lessons. Then you call them back a week or two later and you say, hey, I created this program, check it out. So anything goes like this. Like when you look at webinars and presentations, they go like this too. You tell them a headline, a message, what's up? We're in the kind of the phase of like getting to know. You kind of identify with them a little bit through problems and opportunities. And then you drop a little storytelling in there, right? And they're like, whoa, I kind of like this person or I know more about them. Then you get into content, right? Which is a little bit the steps of what you teach, which is like your program. So you're doing the same thing. And there's a reason why these things work consistently. They're basic laws the way I see them. Because they work in presentations, they work when you pick up the phone, they work in all scenarios. So if you know now what vehicle you're using, because you got to understand that, and you know the context of the situation, which is different when I'm on the phone versus a presentation, but the laws apply. So if you apply the laws, you win every time. If you skip one of the laws or the steps that makes up the law, you die on the vine.
Right. And I think it's so important what you said about being natural and simply when you know your message consistently and concisely and having that just natural conversations with people, it is marketing because you're simply sharing what you're passionate about, what you're interested in, and people can feel that. And if you approach the situation with the mindset of, I'm going to sell this person, or I need to book this person, or I need to enroll this person, you're already setting yourself up for failure because you're not laying the groundwork for the right messaging that enables them to feel where you're coming from so you can actually share something of value with them, because that's the whole purpose here.
Yeah, that's right, buddy.
All right, so we got a lot of questions. Let's grab Meredith Newland. Thanks for hosting this. Here's my question. How do you feel confident in the message you deliver? How do you keep from comparing yourself to others in a saturated niche?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, you feel confident in anything by doing it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. I just got off an acting lesson, right, with an actress, and there was my acting coach there, and we're there, and we did this scene like four times already, and we're on there. And the first time we did it, it's like with the paper, and like I don't know the lines, and reading through it, I don't know the context, and to a certain degree, I'm lost. But then I start feeling into it and getting my vibe and my what am I saying and what am I wanting to do and what's the character thinking? And so I start feeling in, and I start to build confidence. And that's just the number of times I'm doing it. The number of times I'm doing it. The number of times I'm doing it. And that's anything in life. To me, that's another law. It doesn't matter what it is. Like you want to do anything. You just start from grade 0. You go grade 1, grade 2, and you take the steps through it. But you got to continuously take the action, take the action, take the action. And from that, you start to build confidence in doing it. And you got to do it too. To me, confidence is doing it to your standard. So when there's other people around you that have a standard here and yours is here, like you have to meet your standard. That's how you stay true to yourself, right? Because you can do it and somebody else goes, that was great. And you go, that's not my standard. And I want to feel confident if I don't hit my standard. So I keep going until I hit my standard. And then I go, wow, okay, I feel good about that. That felt good for me. Okay, great. Then I go, okay, let's raise the standard. I'm ready for the next level. And so I think you need to train on doing your message, which means you need to go out, you need to tell a lot of people. And here's the thing, you need to get your teeth kicked in a little bit, right? And it's not like to say it's rough and whatever. You need to go bounce off with something and go, wow, whoa, I got smacked there. Right? Because if you just sit there and you go, it's theory, and you read the books and you go this, oh, great, I'm educated on this stuff, you could probably teach a class on it, but could you do it?
Right.
So the reality is you need to go out and keep smacking into things. And you smack into somebody, you go, whoa, what did I miss? It doesn't mean you go to the next thing after you just smacked into something. You go back, you go, whoa, what did I learn? Okay, what did I miss? Okay, let me dial this back in and try it again. And then you try it again. And there's so many times, I mean, I did this through speaking because it's been my journey to confront that through my life. And so many times I got up there and got embarrassed. Like the first time I couldn't confront the audience, couldn't even look at them when I was 21. I was like walking back and forth, pacing, so nervous. One of my third talks, I passed out on stage and broke into sweats and almost threw up on the freaking audience. It was that bad, right? So, these are things where you go, whoa, okay, like peel it back a little bit. What am I missing about stage presentation? Like, am I able to confront the people I'm talking to? Am I able to, do I know what I'm saying? Like you peel it back and go, what are the things that I'm missing? And then you keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it until one day you go, wow, I kind of met the expectation of what I thought I was going to do. And then you raise the expectation. So that's it. It's totally normal. And, are the areas saturated? I don't think they are. I think there's a lot of stuff out there, but there's 9 billion people on the planet. And there's a way to find any type of customer you want to draw them to. I think storytelling is definitely a way to stand out.
Right.
Because it does make you feel unique too when you tell a story. And it also connects with your audience on a personal level that makes them feel that you're unique because they're feeling unique listening to it. So if you, when in doubt, if you feel like your niche is saturated, get good at storytelling and see how people respond. You'll be shocked at how your story actually impacts people.
That's such great advice because so many people have different learning styles and they resonate with different types of people. So you can have a lot of people in a very similar niche with a lot of different people who learn differently and are attracted to your attractive character, right? If you're the front person in your business and you have a different teaching style and that attracts a certain kind of person, it's okay because you have the ability to find other people in that specific niche. All right, so the next question is, Inception says, I have a message called Authority Ignited, just working my story into it. Okay, I think that was a statement. Congratulations, Inception. Meredith goes on to explain, I have a workshop called Freed to Teach that I have started giving to schools. I got motivated because of M2M and reached out to people in my network to get booked. It has 7 steps to help teachers thrive with less stress and more joy. I want to make sure it's valuable to teachers and administrators. I want to change lives, not just be another program.
Yeah, go ask them. Sit down with 20 teachers and ask them, what would make this great for you? And what outcomes would you look for? And that's your message, So the simplicity of go do a survey, and find out what they want. And it'll give you a lot of, that's another thing you can do to get in communication with people, right? Is go do surveys. When I first started in the insurance business, that's what I did. Just want to
learn a lot. You build relationships.
Yeah. And you just get in, you get into the reality of the doingness of the job, right? I mean, that's the truth. It's like, if you're afraid to go do the job, do the simple, sit in front of somebody and take a survey and ask questions. I mean, who isn't afraid the first time on the job? I don't know many people aren't, so that's what I would do. And then find out, and they'll go, yeah, this outcome would be great. And you're writing it down. Wow, this outcome out. And all of a sudden you're getting things for your message that you didn't think of yourself. Try that.
Arame says, do you think FB groups are still a good way to get clients?
Yeah, I'm sure they are. I mean, we have a client, we don't use it for our business, so I can't speak to it from our perspective, but I have a client who uses it a lot, and she's got 5,000 to 6,000 people on her Facebook group. And, she lives in a country, Slovenia, and it's, the population there it's not massive, but it's got a good enough population. And we helped her create a funnel, and she launched that funnel to her Facebook group. And she had 43 coaching sessions come through the funnel. People bought the product, or 43 people bought the product, and I think like 27 or 28 of them booked coaching sessions to get on the phone with her. And so that was just recent. I don't know the results of her consultations, but I'm sure she'll do great because she's done like $250,000 in sales already. So I would suggest absolutely any way you can get to a group of people that you can develop a relationship with. I would say absolutely. Like, is that an effective way? Sure. Can you get to them? Can you grab their attention? And can you build a relationship with them either through content or you're picking up the phone and doing, free consultations with them? Either way. Yeah.
Yeah. And give value, just deliver value to people. There's a sense of reciprocity that people have. If somebody gives you something, what do you want to do? You want to give them something back, right? And so by delivering, giving value without asking for anything in return is a great way to build reciprocity. Leanne Stevenson says, did it take a lot of practice to have your videos so natural? I have done some videos, and even though I know my content well, they just seem stilted.
Yeah, I've got so many hours in front of video. So many hours. Michael knows. Sitting down with my videographer today to create a course. We have like 55 courses too that we've created. We're sitting down there. He's like, okay, I just read the sheet and then I talk and I do it in one take. But when I first started doing this, I remember a time when I did this in San Diego in my condo there. And I was literally like, it felt very like restrictive. So the camera's there and I was like kind of jumping out of my skin and I couldn't stay there. And so that was very tough. And so that felt weird and felt very just uncomfortable. And then I kind of realized after a while, like I wasn't really looking and confronting the camera, So like if I'm communicating to the camera, I should probably communicate to the camera first rather than even seeing anybody on the other side of the camera. And I just started to do that. I'm talking to the camera, talking to the camera, talking to the camera, talking to the camera. And then I was just like having a conversation, right? Having a conversation. And the point is the communication's going somewhere, right? If the communication's like going from here and bouncing in your head and bouncing back at you, it's not going anywhere. So when I'm talking to you right now, my communication's going right here through to you, right? So your communication has to be delivered. And if you're not delivering it to anybody except your head, then it
feels weird.
It feels weird. Weird. And then if you don't realize that, like you should try it and go, okay, I'm going to try and get my communication from here to there. And you'll see what you could do. And then you start practicing in a seminar room and I'm going to go from here to the first row and then here to the 10th row. And I would always do that, put my intention out on the last row and then put on the next row and the next row and next row. So I know that I have my space in my seminar room. And that's how you get comfortable because, there's certain thing with, you putting your anchor points out too. And like, to me, it's just attention. I put my attention out.
Right.
When you go get on a big stage to do that, if you actually ever experience it, the energy is overwhelming. Like there's so much energy in the room and you're containing that, right? Because you're in control. If you don't contain it, you're not in control. So the whole thing with an audience is you want to be in control. And that's how you give a good talk. And so to be in control, you have to have your attention out and your intention in all parts of the room. And then your energy is out in all parts of the room and you can handle communicating with the whole room and every single person in the room. And that's one of the secrets to doing it. And so that goes for either way. Like if you want to go here to one person, it's more contained, the energy, it's more directed. If you want to go out here, your energy is bigger, but it's also more directed in a space to where you've got your intention going out to the space you want to communicate with. And so that's just practice, and then you can start picking people out and communicating to different people in the audience, and you become a pro. And then you get used to being in front of the camera to where the camera is just like, whatever, the camera's on, no big deal, For some people, it's weird. Because it's like when somebody looks at you, you can feel somebody's looking at you. So the camera's almost like something looking at you. It's a weird thing. Who knows who the hell's looking at you through this thing, right? So it's kind of like, somebody's looking at me. So you got to get the idea that there is an object here, and you have your attention on that object, and you got to realize that since you have attention on it, you're going to have something going on with it. So for me, I just realized, okay, it's the camera, talk to the camera. After a while, you don't even realize it's there. You just deliver. And that's what you want in anything, second nature. You get up in a seminar room. I could literally fall out of bed and do a seminar for 4 days straight because I just know how to talk, But at first, I had no idea how to do that stuff. So it takes time, lots and lots of practice and drilling and doing it over and over and over and over again until you get great at it.
Right. And being okay when it's not great at first, and then just doing it again. It's so important. Robert Sanders says, what are the steps to reverse engineering when you have your product generally?
Yeah, it's great. I actually did a product on this today about reverse engineering. And so like you have your program, let's say, here's how you reverse engineer your business, right? So say my program is $5,000, right? And you go, I'm going to sell a program online for $5,000. Well, then you kind of reverse engineer like what comes before that. Now, what a lot of people are doing with like programs and things online is they're getting into the technology of what technology do I need. And it's not that it's not important. It's just not the next step. And it's not the most important step. It's the least important step. And so many of you, because I've talked to a lot of you, you have this problem around technology. If technology is bugging me out. So the question I always have, and this is not like, I'm not indicating that this is for you. I'm just saying that I've had many of these discussions. It's either one or two things, right? It's either one, you're just like, you can't confront learning the strategy. So you just bog yourself down in the technology. And what I mean by that is the strategy of like, what is my actual marketing strategy? Like for us, free gift to like a $37 product to a consultation. Boom, done. Been doing it for 8 years. Okay. And that's a system that works for us. And so that's the strategy. Okay. Now, the promotion and the advertising is something separate, but that's the marketing strategy, right? So I know what that is. So as a business owner, that's my job. I got to be the strategist, particularly as a CEO. CEO is strategy, right? And that's what you are. That's what the hat you got to start wearing right away. Now, a lot of times people come in and they go, technology, I got to learn this ClickFunnels thing. I was like, why? Like, no interest. If I have a problem with my phone, I call my assistant. Like, I don't care how this thing works. I want to press the button and know that it works. ClickFunnels, I've never, like once for shits and giggles to see like the frustration my clients go through, I go, I'm going to try and get in there and do this. And I got in for 10 seconds. I was like, no way, dude. And not that it's not an easy system if you learn it. Like, I think ClickFunnels is great. I was just like, this is not where I should be spending my time. It doesn't make any sense for me, right? So I was like, technology is the last thing. So if I know my program, which is one of the first things in the message, and then I know my strategy for marketing. Well, your strategy for marketing is something you work out along the way while you're getting clients offline. You do it simultaneously, but it's not the thing you just focus on, because if you need cash flow in a business, what is the priority?
Clients.
It's client. It's how do you go talk to some people and enroll people and make some sales? So reverse engineering is going, okay, here's my program. I know this, I know my message. What is my situation? Now, for most people, it's I got to bring in income. So for you, the answer isn't go launch a funnel right away when you don't know your message fully. You're just building your program. And the answer certainly isn't go, focus on technology. That is definitely not the answer. Okay. So it's like, are you bogging yourself in technology because you're confused and it seems like the thing you can confront and then you're happy to get confused on it? Or do you just so confused on, you don't even have a marketing strategy that you're like, I'll just focus on technology because this funnel thing looks good. So, and somewhere there's a confusion for people, right? So I go weed out the confusion and put technology aside, right? So you get that one confusion off your line, right? Then you go, I got a program, stable on that, got to sell it. Then you go, okay, let me build my marketing strategy and let me learn this and get educated because it takes time. It's not an overnight thing. But while you're doing that, you go, what's the first most important thing I can do? And you go, technology is above my grade level. Even the strategy that I'm learning is still above my grade level. So how do I go back to grade 0 and figure out what I need to do? And what I need to do is I got a program. Let me pick up the phone and tell people about it. And you could know nothing about sales, nothing about whatever. You just go, hey, what's up? Joey, what's up? This is what I'm doing. Next, pick up the phone. Samantha, this is what I'm doing. By the end of the day, I don't care what your money situation is. By the end of the day, like you could be in a bad money situation. By the end of the day, if you made 20 phone calls and you talk to people, you would feel great. You would feel amazing. And you would actually know that you're making steps towards your problem that you're dealing with. But the problem that people have is I'm stuck in the problem, and then they go off into some confusion like technology, or they go into marketing that's above their grade right now, and then they're not doing something about the current problem. They're not confronting it, right? And so what I always say is like do an action that's going to build confidence, that's going to get your attention out rather than being on this problem going, oh my God, I got money problems, I got money problem. What can you do? And you'd be surprised. Like I have this huge belief, like for myself, that if I'm doing things like, any business owner does something like where they're like, God, I forgot that project and I drop responsibility. And for me, when I drop responsibility on something, I'm like, it's not ethical, right? So I'm like, God, my ethics are out, right? So I go, damn, right? And then I make sure I'm like, okay, am I doing everything to be responsible for my clients, responsible for my company, responsible for my team, responsible for me, responsible for my causes? Am I doing those actions? And when I am, something happens that goes like the problem all of a sudden, like I start moving through and making progress on the problem. And then even though I'm like, God, we still got the problem, right? We just had this recently with down stats for like 5 or 6 weeks. I was like, God, we still got the problem. But we're edging it. And all of a sudden, you start things to go up and you're getting more clarity and confusion's burning off. You're like, wow, I took it back to grade 0. I figured out what was the thing that I need to put my attention on. I put it there. And all of a sudden, last week, we had a huge stat week. We had one of the best stat weeks we've had in months and months and months, right? So that's kind of how I think about the perspective on that. And it's easy. And Michael and I were even doing this. We were looking at a funnel that we thought was dead, right? And all of a sudden we were like, let's put our attention back on it because it's the thing that served us for 6 years. And last week we had a 471% ROI on the funnel. So it's like sometimes we can spin ourselves off, and it doesn't mean don't go test new things. We should absolutely do new things. You should be testing all the time, right? But you should be always strengthening and focusing on the things that brought you to the dance, right? And if you're not doing that or solving the problem because you have a problem because you did something that brought you to that dance. So you better solve the problem in the dance. And if you do that, you're going to win in life. But a lot of times people get dug into the problem. They have such a tough time going, I got to confront this and pull myself out. The thing that's made me successful as a business owner is like the moment that happens, I have supreme confidence that I can pull myself out any situation like that. And it was funny. I had this realization the other day. I'm like, I spent all this time, my team and I spent years building up this system. And finally, all my life, I was like chasing the next income paycheck, the next paycheck. When I did seminars, oh my God, that was like a Hail Mary, right? Seminars, you go back, you market them for like months and months and months. You're like, okay, all right, Tom Brady, go deep, man. All right. Tom's going to hit the Hail Mary every time, right? But like seminars are that. You're going for the Hail Mary every damn time. You're like, please catch the ball, man. Catch the ball, right? And if you don't catch the ball, you're out of business. Fortunately, at every seminar I did, we caught the ball. Everyone we did, once I figured it out, everyone we did, we caught the ball, right? I don't know, man. It's a risky way to live, right? And so we would get done, and then I would have like literally like we'd do like a 672. I remember we did a seminar for like 672,000, and most of it was cash collected, right? Then here I have all this money in the bank, and guess what happens? The moment it's over, I have the problem of shit, next seminar, and this money is going to continue to dwindle. So you know what I did? I was like, great. So I have money. What is the point if I have money and then I keep draining the money? Why don't I take the money that I have and I'm going to then learn marketing? So essentially I started a new business, and this is the mentality, right? Everything that you do, to me, like if you're offline calling clients right now and then you go online is a new business. That's the way that I treat it. Okay. So when I was in a seminar business, that was a business, right? And then I go, I'm going to start this new business. Online marketing. It's a new business, new skill set. It's like when I went in to go do acting and do my play, it was a totally new business, new industry, right? But online marketing, even though it's in my space, it's foreign, man. So I'm like, this is completely new skill set, completely new business. I am a speaker. Now, I can take my speaking ability and I can apply my charisma and all those things to my storytelling, to my play, to my acting, right? I can take my communication and my storytelling and apply it to my online marketing. So when I go to make the transition, there's skills that I have, right, that transfer over that automatically give me confidence. So instead of throwing the Hail Mary all the time, which got old, right? And God, it's like the money's dwindling, and then the next one comes is like Hail Mary again. Now, like I don't do drugs or drink or any of that stuff anymore. So it was a hell of a high, I got to tell you, right? Like it's one of those things where you're going in and all of a sudden you hit the seminar and you make the sale. It's the greatest high you have in the world. It's like, oh my God, right? But it ain't any way to live, right? So I made a decision that at that point in my life, I go, the money I have, I'm going to burn the boat and put it into marketing. Now, every decision I ever made, we talked about this last week, every decision I've ever made, I'm like burning the boat, which means like, doesn't mean I'm going to stop the income generator, but it means I'm all in on that fucking thing, right? I am all in on online marketing, right? Like if I'm bleeding 20 G's a month, which I did, I'm in. Now, it's not the smartest way to do it. I do things in a more intelligent way today, but I'm in because I'm burning the boat of like, there's no in between. I should say I'm burning the bridge. I've crossed the bridge and I'm there. And I'm not going back. And so that perspective is really important because for the first time, I then was able to start creating a system that would consistently every day generate income. And that is a huge, 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 huge difference. So it was worth it because I saw the future of like, I'll invest the money, I'll invest the time, I'll invest the energy. Everything I made from seminars, I'll put into this thing. And I think at some point as like, you need to make a lifestyle choice, right? At some point I let all my houses go, got rid of them all, right? Well, they were foreclosed on, right? But my car, everything. And everything I had my identity shaped in, like I'm the $3,000 suit guy and the Gucci loafers and the hot cars and the beautiful condos and houses and the bottle service that I used to do, all those things. Like once I let it go, I was like, okay, great. So now I got nothing. What do I want to do? I want to build a business, you know? And I kind of switched my mentality of being a lifestyle entrepreneur to like, what is my life really about? And I started
purpose driven.
Yeah. And I started to get really clear, like, what am I about? Like my number one value is is to do the impossible, to do what everybody else thinks is like not possible. I'm going to go, it's my number one thing. I'm going to do what's totally counter to everybody else. And I realized it wasn't like a choice of like, I'm going to do that. That's just the way I am. And so people look at me like, well, you're going to go do a film on your life story. What are you, crazy? And I'm like, yeah, well, why wouldn't I? To me, it's actually the most logical thing in the world. But I started to realize that to other people, it seems impossible. It seems crazy. I'm like, well, I guess my number one value is that I do the impossible. And I don't even know that I do it. So I should just focus on the fact that that's what I do. And so marketing to me seemed impossible because I wasn't a marketing guy and I wasn't a technology guy.
Right.
Right. And I think that's a critical thing that you got to make a choice at some point in your life. And you got to say to yourself, you know what? Who do I have to be now? You're still you, but what hat do I need to wear now? What's the new version of me that's going to take me to the promised land? And for me, it wasn't that old version of doing all that shit. Because like today, if you're going to speak and you're going to present, you're going to do things online, you got to be clean ethically. You got to be really clean. You got to feel congruent with who you are, right? You got to know who you are, and you got to be the real deal. And you really just do. And if you're up and you're doing stuff out in the world, for me personally, I would knock myself down if I wasn't doing things that were ethical. And so I had to get rid of the booze. I had to get rid of all that stuff. I had to get rid of all that stuff that didn't serve me and go, who am I really? How do I want to be in the world? And what kind of role model and inspiration do I want to be for people? And I said, all this stuff doesn't matter. Like the Gucci stuff, none of that matters, right? It doesn't matter if I don't feel successful. So I started building. Everything's going to go back into the business. And I put it into the online marketing. Boom, created a dream machine. Now, all along the line, and this answers the guy's question, like, how do you reverse engineer? I knew what my end purpose is all along, right? In my mind, it's like we are what we dream. That's what my brand stands for. We are what we dream. It's simple to me. So I know that for me, anything that I see that I want to do, I'm going to go do it because I'll dream it up. So my end goal in mind has always been there. And then I've reverse engineer my life of how do I need to accomplish that. Marketing served one purpose. I have zero interest in the concept of marketing. Zero. It doesn't excite me. It's not interesting to me. It's a puzzle to solve. But like there's topics that are in my life where this is interesting. This is fascinating, right? It's a dream machine. So I'm interested in the outcome that marketing provides, period. The outcome it provides for my clients, to give you some of your lifestyle back, to give you some of your family time back, to give you your dream, to get a message out to the world, to be heard, to be seen. And you know what? The thing is, like, it's okay, like, that you want to be seen with your message. It's okay that you want to be heard with your message. You need to own that. That's really okay. And a lot of times people go, well, it's selfish for me to do that. No, it's not selfish. Like, it's selfish to yourself to not be focused on yourself along with other people, right? So you have to have responsibility for yourself and you have to have responsibility for other people. And so if you do one, you go, I'm gonna take responsibility for everybody else but myself, that's selfish towards yourself. You're being selfish to you. And so you got to get that you got to own that in your life. Now, if you're sitting there your whole life and you're going, I'm just about message and story and all the stuff that I can do for myself, and you don't care about anything else or anybody else, that to me is selfish. Right. So I share all of this because when I shifted my perspective on that, all those things, they didn't matter to me anymore at that level. Now, I drive a Lamborghini? Yeah. Right. Do I have beach houses that I go from one to the next that I don't even own, but I have beach houses. Right. So I got to stop and say, hi, it's my anniversary. I'm on a show right now, but I wanted to say happy anniversary live.
And while he wishes happy anniversary, I just wanted to share a couple of quick things.
Responsibility for other people that I love, and my beautiful, beautiful, beautiful girlfriend calls me. Hello, sweetheart.
So I'm gonna mute him just for a second while he takes that call. But I wanted to address you guys real quick because I had something that he said very specifically that I think you can take. And he said, whenever I start a new business, whenever I start something new, I'm going to take from my old business the expertise, the skill, the confidence, right? How many of you here are creating a brand new business, yet you come from a place where you were pretty skilled at what you did, whatever your previous job was? Maybe you were a teacher, maybe you were administrator, maybe you were somebody who had a marketing background or whatever that is. And you go, man, but I really have this passion and I want to start teaching this or training this or creating this product or delivering this service. It's so important to take that confidence that you had from that specific skill, that specific place that you were, and bring it in to your new business. Just like Ted was saying, he went from the seminar business, the speaking business, to the online marketing business. It was a new business for him. He had no confidence in it. But he was able to take some of that confidence because he knew the outcome. He knew his message. He knew his core self and his purpose and his mission and his drive. And so if you can get clear on that, that gives you such an advantage over so many other people. And then you become that attractive character. Then you become that person who people go, wow, this niche is saturated, but I want to follow that guy because he's confident, he's skilled, he's precise, and he knows what he wants to say.
Yeah, so I'm back. Sorry, it was my my anniversary. So I had my girlfriend's on set doing a film, and I haven't seen her in 2 months, so I had to call and I had to say hi. Okay. So what I was saying is, it's important that you have that, like, you have to own yourself and you have to own the things that you want to do, and that's so true to being a dream. Now, to living a dream. Now, a dream also has to be a thing that contributes to other people, and so you have to balance the two. But too often you see people like so focused on this, got to make the money, got to have this, got to have that. And they forget about their other responsibilities. And then you have people who are so focused on their responsibilities because they're afraid to focus on themselves. That's really all it is. I got so many people to take care of. I'm like, own yourself and take care of yourself, right? It's like, own yourself.
It's like when you're on the plane and they say, put the oxygen mask on yourself before your neighbor. You need to be able to breathe before you can help somebody else breathe.
You need to take responsibility and own yourself. You know, and I'm not saying you're not. I'm just saying that talking in my philosophy of life, right? And that's what I've learned in myself. Like, what separates one person from doing a dream and from another person? One person truly owns themselves. Of like, they put it. Pat Riley said years ago, he says, and my boss at the time put this on my desk when we were trying to hit some big goals once, and he put it right on my desk, and it was a quote from Pat Riley. It says, comes a time in every man's life where he's got to stand on his own 2 feet, make a statement about who he is, and just do it. So that's a quote from Pat Riley. And I never forgot that, And it's like, it doesn't mean that you stand and you do it without the uncertainty. You're going to go through embarrassment. I mean, I was just training on things today, and you're doing it over and over and over again. It's like, God, embarrassment, and like you get those feelings and all that stuff. But the fortitude to go on and persevere has to be there. And pretty soon you get more confident. You wake up one day, you go, wow, like other people are looking at you and going, wow, this person's so incredible. And then you're thinking to yourself, like we talked last week, well, am I really incredible at that thing? I just do it naturally.
Right.
And pretty soon it becomes like thinking, and that's what it should be. It should be just second nature. Just like you have a thought, well, it's just like your skill set is in action, just like a thought. Like I have a thought about birds, right? I want to go do a presentation, boom, it's as fast as that. And I think that's the thing that we all look to get to. But what I was saying, and to end my thought on this, is it's just really important that when the transition I made was, I'm going to put my business and my dream and my contribution to others first. And I'm going to put all those other things material-wise second. And that's a shift in the world. Now, I'm a multimillionaire. So I have plenty of money that I've put aside and created, and wealth that I've created. And to me, it's a game. I like having that because I have other dreams of things that I want to contribute to. And I also want to be in a position of power where I'm standing on wealth so that when I go to take risks of doing things, I don't have that Hail Mary moment of going, whoa, the Super Bowl, the seminar, are we going to cash flow this week or not, right? So, I think you can put yourself in a position of wealth and power when you start to make fundamentally the decision. Am I a lifestyle entrepreneur? And I care so much what people think about how I look and the things that I wear. And I'm not saying don't be presentable, but be more interested in the contribution you're making and the skill sets you're developing and how you're affecting people. And I think if you really put a focus on affecting people, you'll pull in mass amounts of people who are drawn to you because that's your focus first, with your attention also on the other things that are important, which is you, your family, and these other things that you have to take responsibility for.
That's such great advice. So we're going to be wrapping up in here just a second, but know that I know some of you ask questions. We're not going to be able to get to every single one, but we will be back next Wednesday. And I've got some cool stuff for you in the meantime, but I got one last question for you, Ted. Yeah. But before I put in this, I'm going to put in, we've got a new podcast called Got Dreams. It's hosted by James Barber. He is just an incredibly motivating and just a magical guy from Broadway. The dude is just unreal. And we want you to go check out that podcast. It's Ted's brand new podcast. We're going to be also transcribing, or we're going to be taking these audios and putting them on that podcast as well. So make sure you check that out. I'm putting the links in here now so you can check that out on both Apple Podcasts and Spotify. But that being said, Ted, last question for the day. And if we didn't get to your question, I'm so sorry. Come back next week and we'll get to it. Arame says, what advice do you have for someone who's struggling for asking for the sale? How do you build that confidence to get that first client?
You just ask, like you got to put yourself in the situation to just ask, but it's got to come at the appropriate time. Let me comment more on that for her in a second. But I just wanted to say with Got Dreams while we were on that thought. So Got Dreams is, just so you guys know what it is, right? Got Dreams is the show that we're doing. And then James hosts a podcast for us on Got Dreams that interviews other artists. Now, Got Dreams was an idea that I had 3 years ago or 2.5 years ago. And it came from the idea that we're helping entrepreneurs get their message to millions. And I realized that as I started to step into being an artist and owning it and going, this is the path that I'm going to take, and I started to create my one-man play on my life story, I realized that, wow, the way I was building my audience I did a 6-week run in Los Angeles. We were going to go to Edinburgh in Scotland and do it. I was a finalist in the Rave Festival in New York. And so we were going to do all these things with my play. And all the ways that I was building the play, I realized was the exact same ways I built my business and message to millions. Like everything I was doing when we did our 6-week run, we literally got on the phone, all my contacts, we texted them, we reached out to them. I had somebody calling them besides me. And we literally reached out to people and built up our network and filled a show for 6 weeks in Los Angeles. And I started to realize, like, why aren't other people doing this? Like I'm a relatively new artist and I was able to fill a show. I was like, why aren't other people doing this? And then I started to realize, okay, when COVID hit, I go, well, I can't travel to Eboro, can't go to the rave festival, can't do all these things. So I go, great, we're going to film my play. And I went to people in the industry like, no, bad idea. Theater doesn't do well. And I said, well, on film, well, what are our choices, right? Let's adapt, let's innovate. So I filmed it and I put a product out there and then we launched it. And within 10 days of marketing, we had 4,300 people registered. And then I said to myself, well, why aren't more people doing this? And I realized that most people, they don't have the marketing and the business mentality. And they don't have that perspective of how do I build a dream machine? As I was saying before, a dream machine gets you an audience that you can impact. And for me, it was like the play was so much about initially just getting the message out there. Like I didn't care about making money. Now I had my end game in mind of how I'm going to make money. I know how I'm going to make millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars off my entertainment and billions of dollars on the platform of Got Dreams. I always had that in mind. But my first initial thing was like, I don't care about money. I want to get the message out.
Right.
It's the only thing I care about right now. Okay. And so we did it. And I go, well, man, artists need to, thanks, Darlene. I'm glad you enjoyed the play. Thank you. So I said, we need to help artists with this. And I started to hang around like, I hang around big people, man. I got some stars that are really, really close to me. Right. And I started to go, wow, like a lot of times people are facing challenges with income and they're facing challenges with their next gig. And I'm like, wow, this is like, I don't get it. I don't get it because I'm not in the industry. Why would I get it? I'm kind of creating an industry of my own for my art and using my skill sets and creating like, mixing oceans. So I go, God, how do we solve this problem? And this is
for other people, right? Yes.
For other people. How do we solve this problem for other people? And I said something to my COO, Jenna looked at me and she goes, because we're turning into my play into a feature film and we're doing it. She's like, and I asked, a big investor said this to me. And then Jenna made the same comment. She's like, why do this Got Dreams platform? Like you're doing all this stuff with your play. You have the funding for your film. Like, why do you need to go do this? And I'm like, it doesn't feel complete. Like if I do all these things for myself, it doesn't feel complete. It's not exciting. It's exciting to the level of I'm doing it, but it's not exciting. So how do I do something to help the rest of the people have a dream? And I said, artists have this too. I'm observing it. There's a problem. What do we do? And so I go, okay, wait. So I'm not A-list actor. I don't know. I'm 8 years into doing this stuff. So I go, well, how do we get the best teachers on the planet? So of course we have Broadway stars teaching. We have Tony Award winners. We have Emmy Award winners. We have them teaching. But we go, how are we going to be different from other platforms like Masterclass? One, we're going to stay true to working with artists. One of the things I've seen, and I look in the marketplace, I go, I look at Masterclass, I love their stuff. And then there's something about rock climbing. I'm like, I don't know what they stand for.
Mm.
So I look at them like there's a mixed message of things that they're doing for rock climbing and then cooking or whatever. So for me, I want to stay focused on artists and I want to stay very niched on that marketplace of like, okay, this is what we're doing. And I go, what are the problems that they're facing? I go, number one, they need to learn from other artists. There needs to be a community that validates and supports and learning from each other. Hugely important for artists, right? Instead of being a silo. You know how many, like you talk to so many people and like in business, they're alone. In art, they're alone, right? And so you see stars and people are successful and they're alone and sometimes they're not happy. And I'm like, man, we need a community that supports these people and validates them. And we need the top people to teach and pass on their skill set so the top people can feel fulfilled. Because if they're not passing on their skill set, how do you ever feel totally, fully fulfilled if you're not passing on that contribution at the highest level to your fans, man? How do you? I don't get it.
You can't.
I don't get it, right? Because you leave somebody inspired after a movie, shouldn't you go, well, great. I hope you enjoy. Well, I'm not going to give away our concept. But I'm like sitting there and going, what's going on here? Why is this not happening, right? And so I'm going, this is eating me alive. Okay, I have to do this, okay? And so then we go, well, not only is it skill sets, but they're missing marketing. So we want them to learn from other artists, not the business part. We want them to learn from other artists the skill sets they need. Then we want them to learn the business stuff from other artists. But then we want them to learn what I think is the right way of business, which is you as an artist control your marketing. Mm. When you control your marketing, you control your brand. And that's our mission. We want you to create your own industry. Forget about the industry you're in. I don't care about I'm not in an industry. I don't consider myself in any industry. I'm not a coach. I don't look at it like that at all. I'm just doing my thing. And whatever idea pops up, I'm going to create it. And I don't care if it's been done before in terms of like people go, that's stupid. Nobody's ever done that before. It's not going to work. I don't care. I just create it because it makes sense to me. And if it makes sense to me, it's going to win. So I just do it. And what we want for artists, you're going to create your own industry and do your thing. And so that's what we're creating, an entirely new industry where you're in control. And then we're going to show you how to control your money as well. So these are the things that we're doing. Just to explain what Got Dreams are. Is super freaking excited. And we're in the process. It's going to be a big, massive company that reaches billions of people because we're raising money for it. And we're going to do amazing things. So to answer the question that the lady had who just answered about sales, to get back to that, she said, like, how do you make the sale? And I said, you just ask for it, right? And I said, well, asking for it is like you got to put yourself in a position to ask for it, okay? So if I just walked up to somebody on the street and I simply said, hey, buy my product, they would go like, what are you, crazy, right? Okay, like there's no relationship developed. Now, if I pick up the phone and I call somebody to develop a relationship and all of a sudden I turn into a sales pitch after that, after the relationship's going, they're like, whoa, what's going on? Doesn't make sense. So the asking for the sale is based on timing. Okay. Now, I told my coaches the other day, I actually wrote up a whole policy, like a bulletin on this, right? Of like, how do you actually do sales? And how do you do it effectively? And so I walked them through it and I said, one of the things you need to make sure of when you're doing sales is that you have to find out what is the customer's like 2 a.m. issues. What are they so concerned about that it keeps them up at night? You got to know that. And I was teaching my guys are really good at high level, and my seniors were in a slump and not on the higher end sales, the higher ticket, on the lower ticket. And I'm like, what is going on? So I said, what are you doing? And I said, you know what's happened? You become an expert, and you're going to a solution that your customer can't have. Like you can have it because you know it. Your customer can't have it. They don't understand it. You're trying to give them something they can't have. It's like if I want a brick and you give me 100 bricks, can't have it. Okay. And you're like, I carry 100 bricks every day, man, on this hand. And I'm like, I'm new to carrying bricks. Like I want 1 brick, and you're like, here's 100. And the customer goes, can't have, don't want it, and then you never make the sale. And the seniors who've been doing sales for 10 years are like, why aren't I making any sales? I'm like, you're not making any sales because you're giving the solution that you want, not what they want. And I said, so you become an expert, and now you've got lost in your own expertise, and you got to go back to grade 0 and go, well, what does your customer want? He goes, well, a customer wants our program. No, they don't. Customer has 0 interest in our programs. What do you mean? Isn't that worth selling? Yeah, but they have 0 interest in it. Why? Because they have 0 understanding of it. What do you mean? They don't understand our programs. Well, by explaining it to them, I said, you would be better off at the end of the phone call than explaining our programs in depth and going into this and then coaching them. I said, don't explain it in depth and don't coach them. Why shouldn't I give them strategies? And I don't mean coach on that sense. I mean, don't give them strategies. Like, why shouldn't I give them strategies? And I said, because you would be better off at the end just stopping after you developed a relationship and found out their 2 a.m. issue of like, what's really their concern. And they now go and they have that aha moment of like, oh my God, he understands me. He knows my 2 a.m. That's my 2 a.m. That's my issue. If I solve that, I'm good. And then all of a sudden they're like, they love you. And you don't know why they love you because you haven't done anything but ask questions. And they're associating this experience with you. And they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And you get to the end and they're ready. They're ready. You could go, well, today we sell oxygen, water, cocoon, and you should have something. They go, God, is that going to solve my 2 a.m. issues? I'll take it, right? Now, obviously, you're not going to sell them something that doesn't match up for what they want. This is metaphorical, right? But they're ready to buy. So you would be better off at that point just going, buy my product than actually be trying to give them a strategy. You would be better off going, buy my product than actually going, let me explain the whole thing to you. Why is that the case? I'm going to tell you why it's the case. And you're going to have an epiphany and you're going to go, God, this is so freaking simple. But you're going to go, oh my God, this is so right. Because your customers are in the industry that you're in, they're buried in a slew of confusion. Slew of confusion. They probably don't understand the word of the industry that they're in. Okay? Right? Take the word psychology. Psychologists don't even know what it means. Okay? Don't know what it means. Right? Look up the derivation of it. It has to do with actually the soul. Right? And then you have psychologists saying man is basically an animal. They don't even know what their subject is, which is why the whole thing's messed up. Okay? That's why psychiatry is a whole other thing. It's a freaking mess, right? Disaster. Okay? So you have these industries that are based on total confusion. And then you have people teaching stuff in those industries. And then you have the customer who's buried under the confusion that these people created. So why would you ever stay in an industry? That's my perspective. This is my belief, okay? Why would I stay in this thing that's ruined and confused and destroyed people's minds? And I'm not talking about mental health. I'm just talking about industries. People are just lost. They're sunk, dude. They're sunk. And here you are at the end giving them one more strategy to bury them and finally put the final nail in the coffin. And you're about to go, but it's so good. The solution's so good, Ted. And I'm like to my coach, how long you been telling people solutions and like teaching and been around this? Years, Ted. The solution's easy. It's easy to you. To them, it's one more confusion, dude. I said, you're better off just going buy and your conversion rate will go up. I kid you not. I wrote a bulletin on this. I published it in the company. And I said, you better off saying buy and your conversion rate would go up. If you did the process right of finding out truly what is their concern. What are they concerned about? And if you really get to that and you figure it out, and then you get them clarity on what they really want from that, because they're probably off on a goal from a confusion that they had that has nothing to do with their original goal. Mm-hmm. So how do you get them back? You get them back reset on the goal that they first set out initially when they go, I want to do this. And then maybe they never really had their own goal to begin with. Maybe they just saw somebody go, I'm going to do that too. Or they hated work. I'm going to go do this thing. And they picked it out of confusion. Now you have an opportunity to give them clarity and finally pick a goal out of clarity and finally listen to them on what their concern is and understand this human being, this spiritual, human, awesome, amazing person that you're talking to. But if you're just sitting there trying to give them a solution, then you're not talking to anybody but yourself, just like you're not talking to the camera, like we said in the beginning. You're having a conversation in your head. So that's my mentality of like when I go to a call, I'm going to be simple and go and bring it back and then blow off the confusion. The customer's going to go, God, this is the greatest call I've ever had. I was like, yeah, because for the first time, somebody actually listened to what you wanted. And then they go, well, what should I do next? Then they're asking for you to take the order. They're basically going, tell me what to do. And that's what you want. You want them to go, tell me what to do now. That's sales, guys. That's all it is.
And on that note, you guys, that's all we're going to say. There's nothing else to say.
Nothing else to say, man.
Buy it.
I could teach you sales. Like, I'd blow your mind if we just did a sale. Maybe we'll do sales next week or something. But
that's a great idea. I think a lot of people would really like that because we got a lot of feedback from people who really appreciate that. Because you end up talking yourself in circles. You end up confusing people. You end up frustrating people. You end up alienating friends. When all you're trying to do is share what you're passionate about in this cool new business you have.
Yeah, and it's not what you think. Like, just be overt. Like, it's like we probably don't have the links right now, but we will make offers to you guys on the show, period. Right? Everything I do, we're making an offer for something. Why? Because it's the next logical step for the customer to advance and get knowledge and help them. Exactly. Be overt. Tell them, even on my products this morning, I was going, hey, so this is what we're doing. And by the way, you should join Message to Millions. This is a product that's going to give you information, help you understand. Your next step is go to Message to Millions, do that. And then we'll talk to you about Dream Client. And then we'll talk to you about a lead. Like, be overt. Right? People like it's much higher up in terms of the power of somebody. It's just be overt and tell people what you're going to do. A lot of times, like, you see like these sales tactics that are garbage of like, a tactic known or, like you tell somebody your tactic and it's not, and all of a sudden you don't make the sale. It's such garbage, man. Like, stay away from the garbage and just like be real. And when you have a situation, we even ran into this last night with one of my sales guys was like, dude, I was with this guy and he was no best. And like, he's like, and I'm trying to help him. He was like, I know this, I know that. And I said, yeah, because people want to know best. Like, nobody wants to come to the call and go, I don't know this. So people want to be right. So they're going to put on the face of like, I already know this. I mean, I've done that. But if you start fighting somebody to go that they don't know when they want to know, and you start telling them they don't know, all of a sudden you're in an arm wrestle for a sales to make a sale. You're not supposed to be arm wrestling.
And you're never going to win that. You're never going to win that.
You can't two competing beliefs, opposing beliefs can't win, guys. You can never get to a sale on that. You might have the stronger belief, crush the smaller one, and then you make the sale and then the person resents you. So you can't do that. You can't win on the only belief. And I said this isn't a bulletin we published internally for the company only. I said the only truth that matters on the sales call is the client's truth. It's the only thing that matters. Your truth doesn't matter. I told my coaches that because we're not there for your truth to come through. Your truth is you chose a service to help people get to their truth. You chose that. So like the only thing that matters on that call is what is their truth and getting them to see it. And if you get them to see their truth, You bet your butt at the end of that call, am I going to close them on their truth? Absolutely. Am I going to close hard over and over and over again? Yeah, because that's not tacky closing. You see what I'm saying? It's not I'm closing you on a product or a program. It's I'm actually closing you on the thing that you want. So I don't back off that. I have a book called Never Be Closing. It doesn't mean don't make the sale. It doesn't mean don't actually close the sale. It means don't close it in the way that people normally close it, which is without finding out what the customer wants. Okay, so that's it. That's it for the week. We'll do more next week.
We'll see you guys next week. I guess we're doing sales next week. All right. Thank you so much for joining us today. Make sure you click the link. Check us out in Spotify. Check us out in Apple Podcasts. If you want to check out the Got Dreams podcast, we really appreciate it, and we really appreciate you guys joining us today. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Tell your friends about Got Dreams. Tell them about us. Bring people. We want to build a massive movement of people and an audience. So tell people to come. You guys are the best.
Love it.